Welcome, Allison Field, to Mentors. I'm so happy to interview you. And you've been a mentor for me in the past, and I thank you for that. You made a difference in my life.
Aw, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, could you give a brief introduction for the people that don't know you?
Sure. So my name is Allison Field, and I am a energy coach and a writer and a speaker and former founder and executive director for a nonprofit organization that worked with teen mothers. And um, author of my book, Create Your Blank.
Create your blink, your blank.
Create,
Yeah,
create your
hold it up
blank.
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, for the audience to see. Create
Yeah.
a blank. So that is, um, yes, tell us a little bit about your book, please.
So it's a guide to manifesting your career, your life, your heart projects, anything that you're moving through. And you want to create it with the energy that is going to be most supportive and helpful for you. So the blank could be anything. It could be a transition. It could be a transition in your life. It could be maybe you want to rearrange the furniture in your house to create more flow and ease. It could be anything that you choose to fill in the blank with.
I love that. Well, since this show is mentors, um, have you had mentors in your life who'd made a difference in shaping your path and your career? Your,
Yeah, that has been an interesting journey, and I think that when I was younger in my teens, I had a series of three incidences that really and affected what my decisions were moving forward as far as my career goes. And I remember there was a counselor that I met through one of the organizations that I worked with that she really provided the sweet space for me to be able to process like complicated emotions and feelings. When we're adolescents, it's a troubling time. It can be a very troubling time, and she was instrumental in really being there for me and really listening at a really deep level that other people weren't able to do. So I think she was my biggest mentor growing up.
you never know who you're going to influence in your life. Like it could be just anybody you run into at the grocery store or whatever. And
Hmm.
it makes a difference in your life just by saying a few things. And so always being aware of how you can help people and mentor others.
Yes, and I'll share one of the stories, the key stories that was really important to me. It was an incident that I had in when I was 14 years old. My mother, in the middle of the night, dropped me off with my stepfather at a mental hospital. And for no particular reason other than I think just crazy, teen emotions. And she was sort of felt like at her wit's end. And so I went into the hospital not really knowing why and not really understanding why. And they did all the tests and I was fine. And there was no reason to really keep me there except maybe medication. But I was released, and one of the ladies that was in the room next to me was there for, she had just had a baby. And I believe what in retrospect is now postpartum depression, because she explained to me that she didn't have any more feelings anymore. And I didn't quite understand what that meant. So I would just process and talk to her about it and listen to what she was sharing. And it seemed like none of the counselors could reach her or anything, but she called me about 2 weeks after we were both released, and she said, I just want you to know what a difference you made in my life. She said, you were there to really listen to me. And I want you to know that I am now back with my family and I'm feeling better and I'm able to process my feelings. And I was just like, wow, thank you. Thank you for calling. But I'm 14 years old. But it sort of planted the seed for me at the time to think, oh, I could make a difference for people. I could listen and I could show up and I could be that person for others. And so I think that was the first seed that was planted in my life that eventually led to the nonprofit organization. So you're right. We never know who we're going to affect, right?
Right. And explain a little bit about Allie's house that you
Yes.
that you started and the essence behind that.
Yeah. So as a kind of wild teenager, again, not knowing what I wanted to do, it was kind of an exploration. But I made the decision in my junior year of college. I was a late bloomer going to college. And I knew I wanted to start a nonprofit. And it kind of evolved into working with teen mothers. I grew up wanting to work with at-risk teenagers, and I wanted to work with the ones that were marginalized, the kids that didn't do so well in school, that didn't have mentors, that didn't have somebody to listen and talk to. And so it evolved. And in my junior year of college, we had a class where we had to identify a problem in the community, formulate a plan, and implement it. And at the time, I knew I wanted to start the nonprofit. So I asked permission, can I do this big project for my class project? And she said, yes, as long as you complete, wherever you are, wherever you finish at the end of the semester is good, and submit that for your grade. And I was like, great, now I have the time to do it. Because before that, I was busy working full time and going to school. So I formed the board of directors, mostly people that I knew. And I've formed the board of directors picking people in areas that I knew nothing about, because I didn't know how to run a nonprofit. I was still in college, but I had a passion to do it. And I thought, I'm just going to figure it out. And I got a book from the bookstore, How to Start a Nonprofit Organization, and formed the board of directors. I did the paperwork for the 501c3 with the IRS, which is the nonprofit certification status. And then I wrote the program outline. So that was it. I turned that in. That was my class project for my junior year. And then submitted it, got my grade and all that, but you don't stop a moving train, right? So I had created this, and then I was still working full time and still going to school. And so we started out slowly. And for the first 8 years, it was total volunteer based. And then I have another story about another mentor who stepped in 8 years after we started. But that's how Allie's House was birthed. Was we just started out of my house and wrote the program outline. And what was interesting about it was I had this idea of teen moms at the time were going to fall off the welfare rolls. They were not going to have services. There was a threat to them. They felt that they might lose their children because they couldn't care for them the way I guess they thought they should be cared for. But so there was a need in the community to create more programs for teen moms to learn how to become independent, learn how to live on their own. And so we did that through support and education and our mentoring program. And our mentoring program was one of our most active programs and total volunteer based. Everything was volunteer based for the first 8 years. And we, I had this idea when I went in and formulated the original program outline that I thought I knew what they needed. And silly me, like a year or so in of providing services, I'm like, wow, this is not exactly how to work with these teen moms, this preset program. And I found that every teen mom was different, every circumstance was different, and we couldn't go in with a cookie cutter program and solve all their problems. We needed to start where they are and determine what their needs were and then go from there. And then along the way, we created different programs to fully support them in creating this sort of nice structure that they could adopt into their lifestyle and be supportive for them in actually becoming independent and being able to live on their own with their children.
That's wonderful that you were so flexible and the ability to see that, foresee what they needed and then how to provide that. That's admirable. So that was a very strong path that has led you to where you are today.
Yes.
As far as creating your blank.
Yes, that was my first blank. When you look at it, that was my first big blank. And there were a couple of mentors along the way that were really key in making that happen over a 16-year period. So over 16 years, we were able to help over 800 teen moms and over 1,000 children. So I'm real proud of those numbers. But what was the mentors that supported me along the way? There was one, her name is Brandy Ducote, and I think you know her, you've met her before. But she came in as a mentor and wanted to support a teen mom. And so what we do is we match them with a particular teen mom, and they work with them over the period of 2 years and support them in moving through the program successfully. Well, Brandy walked in with this magical energy about her. And she said, I really want to do mentoring, but I really feel like my skill set can help in this other area. And the very first thing that she did, she brought all of her friends in and they did this beautiful holiday party for our teen moms. It was like sort of at the last minute. I think that I didn't know how they were going to do it. I didn't have funding to support any of that. And she came in with her friends and they put this whole holiday party together. Each mom got gifts from their list and they just came in with in a bang. And not only did she do that, but she continued being our special event director and helping us launch our art auction that you're familiar with, that we had every year, that supported local artists as well as Allie's House. And she was there for all of it and just showed up with her big, huge heart and her big support system. Friends and volunteers, other volunteers came in to help and support. And then many of her friends came in and also joined the mentoring program and were very supportive in that regard as well. So that was really super cool.
Yes. For those of you that don't know me, I'm an artist, and that's how I met Allison in the first place, was through the Allie's House art auctions, and artists would donate their art to support Allie's House and raise money for their organization. And I forgot how many years I participated. I know at least 2.
Yeah. Yeah. It ran from, I think 2005 was our first year, and it ran through 2012, I think was our last one. And so that was 7 years. And it was a big success. We invited probably 20 to 30 artists to participate each year. And we got canvases, 24 by 24 canvases, and donated that to the artists. And they would paint one piece that was donated back to us that we could auction off at the art auction. And then artists could also show up to 2 to 3 pieces of their own art that they could sell at the event as well and get the proceeds from that. And so we had local galleries involved. The American Fine Art Gallery hosted us for many of those years, and was I thought a big success. And it was a win-win for the artists as well as Allie's House and our programs. So they supported our programs. It was probably about 20% of our budget was raised each year from the art auction. So that was really cool.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
great to hear, but
Yeah.
good memories from the past.
Yes. Yes.
Is this your first book, Creating Your Blank?
It is sort of. I also am co-author in Keys to Joyful Living with my friend Marianne Pack. It's us and six authors, and it's divided up by topics of Keys to Joyful Living, and then each coach would write a blurb about that particular topic and contribute that way. So it's an anthology. So that was fun doing that project. And that's when I launched the idea of actually being ready to publish my book, Create Your Blank. So that was cool and great timing for that to happen.
And you currently coach?
Yes,
now?
I currently coach. I'm also a retreat facilitator. I didn't mention that. And our very first retreat is coming up October 3rd through the 5th. It is called Create Your Blank Playhouse Experience Retreat. And it talks all about, it's all about taking the book and making it real in your life, creating your blank. And so more information, people can contact me for more information about that, but also retreat facilitator.
Okay, and then how do they contact you currently?
At AllisonField.com. They can go on the website, AllisonField.com, and we can put that in the comments, I think.
Yes, I'll write that in the description at the end, so people can link to you and find out more about your retreat.
Yes.
Then, where is the location?
It's in New Orleans, and it's at the Courtyard Marriott in the Warehouse Arts District. And it's a really cool property, recently renovated property with real cool murals, New Orleans style murals and brick walls, and yummy facility to be able to hold our retreat. And it's within walking distance of the French Quarter, and it's a block from the Riverwalk, and really cool location and good energy to be able to, channel that into creating our blanks and helping support people in doing that.
That's wonderful. So also, do you consult with people on an individual basis as far as coaching?
Yes. The ways that I work with others is I also do private one-on-one VIP retreats. So I'll come to you, or we go to a neutral location and set it up for your own personal one-on-one VIP retreat. And then if somebody wants to do the sort of same format, but they want to do it virtually, I can also do virtually. And that's also one-on-one and can be scheduled whenever, but it's usually a 12-week process virtually. So 1 hour a week for 12 weeks.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have a upcoming event at Sky Pony Gallery also. That is my personal workspace at Willow Bend Mall in Plano, Texas. So August 3rd,
Yes.
you will be there and you'll be signing your books,
Yes.
meeting people, and that's at 2 to 5.
2 to 4.
Excuse me, 2 to 4.
Yeah.
The 3rd at Sky
Yes.
Gallery.
Yes. And everyone is invited to come. Friends and fans of the gallery are invited to come. I'll have books with me, so you don't have to have pre-bought your book. I'll have books available and be happy to sign and visit with people who have any questions. And I'll have information about the retreat available as well, and anything else that anything else that comes up. So I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. Yeah, it'll be good to see you in person again.
Yeah, thank you.
So as far back to the mentors, so I know that you have been a mentor for others in your life, and so do you have any personal stories on how in anybody in particular that stands out, that success stories that you have mentored along the way?
Yes. Yes. So in the beginning of my coaching career, I I had this interesting, they say in coach training that we attract those that we're supposed to attract, energetically attract for our niche, right? And when I first became a coach, all of a sudden I had all these people that were hedge fund people and finance people and brokers. And it was so interesting to me that I am here and they are here. And it didn't seem to go with the example that our trainers would teach us during coaching certification, that your clients will find you. Well, it was interesting that they found me because they weren't happy with their jobs. And I really focused on my niche being career transitions, like people not being happy in their jobs and they want to do something new and different. So this one person came to me and she was really struggling. She was not happy in her job. She was a hedge fund person and had been doing that 15 years maybe. She was a breadwinner in her family. She didn't know how to unbecome that role in her family, but wanted to do something different, completely different. And so we worked through the process together. And she was not only able to leave her job, but work with her own family system to help pave the way for success in her new gig that she created. So we went through a process also of exploring different businesses and figuring out what she needed to do or wanted to do. And so she chose something completely different than she had ever done before. And it was quite fascinating to walk that path with her and be her mentor and be her coach and be her guide in making that happen. And then I have another story of a client who she was an orthodontist and she only went into orthodontics because her dad was an orthodontist and she hated it. She hated it. I mean, and when I talked to her about what she hated about it, she hated making people experience pain. She just hated that part of it. She didn't want to have anything to do with it, and she was miserable. So she wanted to be a yoga instructor. Now, that is vastly different. You could probably maybe glean some similarities from both, but for her, it was vastly different and a big jump, and a very scary jump, having to tell her father and having to move through that whole process. So we moved through the process of really looking at what she did like about it, what she didn't like about it, um, establishing what her values are, what was most important to her in her life. And what it ended up being was yoga instructor was more aligned with who she wanted to be in the world. And she just didn't know how to get there. So once we worked together and moved through, we created a practical plan for her, not only to reveal to her family, but also how she would move and create a life that she wanted. So monetarily or financially, orthodontist is one category, right? Yoga instructor is a whole nother category, and it's probably going to be a whole lot less money. So the process that we went through was, well, how much money is important to you? Because I think that's important to anybody who's considering a career change. You need to really consider, it's not that money's important. Money's important to live. Money's important, it's a energetic transaction. So it's important to really consider and evaluate how much you need to live and live comfortably. So we went through this process, and she realized, oh, she needs to make a little bit more money than what a yoga instructor would make. And so we talked about the different options around there. And through exploring, what we realized is she could have both. She could do both. She could be a yoga instructor if she wanted to, and create and fulfill that part of her that was yearning to have more movement in her life. She wanted more movement, and she loved doing yoga. But doing yoga and being an instructor is a totally different thing, right? And so it's just that process that we went through was quite magical to see, and for her to get to the place where she was really solid in what she wanted to create moving forward. So those are fun conversations to have.
Truly, yes. And such, so that sounds like that you might be coming up with ideas for others as well, to plant seeds for them. So we are close to ending this right now, but I will put your links in the description. And thank you, Allison, for this interview.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, see you in August.
Yes, I'll look forward to seeing you. Thanks, Kiki. Have a great day.
And thank you. You take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.